Now, breaking news from your hometown news leader, WDBJ 7.
Severe weather impact. Take a look at this video from Salem where strong storms caused major damage this afternoon. WDBJ 7's Christian Heilman is live at Salem Frame, one of the hardest hit locations.
Christian, tell us about some of the damage that you've seen this afternoon.
Yeah, Gene and Chris, the storms rolled through around 2:30 this afternoon. Thankfully, no one was hurt in all this. Now, it happened at one of the industrial buildings just out of sight behind me there. We're told that their roof fell off and there was some serious structural damage. Now, take a look at some of the video we shot a little bit earlier this afternoon. That really helps show the damage. The fire chief tells us thunderstorms with some serious winds caused all of this. He says the roof was pulled off the frame. Damage was also found along West Main Street in Salem. Here you see the famous Anthony sign on the ground, ripped down from the storm and winds. The shift manager there says some of it flew down the road. He says he was in the kitchen and saw a flash of light and debris when the storm rolled through.
Oh, thunderous. I mean, it hit all at once in the wind. Like I said, the wind was just a very distinct wind, like a tornado or something like that. But it hit really hard, all fast at once, and then it was over. So.
The fire chief in Salem says they've had a busy afternoon getting help from Roanoke City and County. Now that the storms have moved through, they'll start figuring out exactly how much damage these have caused. Jean?
Makes sense, and thankfully no one was hurt. Christian, thank you. We do still have severe storms at this hour heading south now. Meteorologist Robin Reed has a closer look at the trouble spots. Robin.
Well, Gene, if you look at the satellite imagery, you'd say, wow, everybody's in trouble. Watch how this builds during the day. It goes from just puffy clouds to just a bang of clouds that are running up and down the Virginia line. And what's happening now is that hail that is aloft is coming down, but it's starting to weaken a little bit. That's what caused the problem in Salem. A whole bunch of hail came down, a microburst, splattered the wind out and did the damage that you saw. We were actually very concerned that Martinsville might do the same thing. They had a lot of hail just a little while ago. So far, we haven't seen huge, significant reports there. But in terms of where the storms are the strongest now, you can see how it's starting to track to the south and to the east. Most of the warnings have left the region now, which is good news. Over here in Halifax and South Boston, there is a severe thunderstorm warning for another 15 minutes or so. And again, this is primarily because of hail and strong winds. Also, good luck finding Amherst. It's underneath all that lightning right there. This isn't labeled as a severe storm, but it's a dangerous electrical storm, one of the features that we've seen throughout the day today. Damaging wind was evident in Gretna, multiple trees down. You see our WeatherBug site had almost a 30-mile-an-hour wind gust. We're not quite done yet, and we have storms coming up later tomorrow. Gene, we'll be talking about that in just a few minutes.
Okay, I know I've seen people on Facebook posting scary winds out there. Certainly so. Robin, thank you.
We have breaking news in Allegheny County where one person is dead and two others were hurt when an ambulance crashed just before lunchtime today. That's where we find WDBJ 7's Kyrie Stewart.
The crash happened here along Potts Creek Road in Allegheny County around 11:40 this morning. You can still see debris from the wreck alongside the road. The ambulance was not a county ambulance. It was doing a medical transport. An Allegheny County official said the patient inside the ambulance was a woman and she died during the crash. According to police, the driver lost control and the ambulance overturned. Right now, they don't know the cause. I'm still working to get more information and we'll have the latest on air and online at WDBJ7.com. Gene?
Thank you, Kyrie. A former reporter for WDBJ7 is being held in jail tonight, charged with rape. Orlando Salinas was denied bail upon his arrest. WDBJ7's Eamon O'Mara is live in Montgomery County. Eamon, what more do you know now about this case?
Gene, Orlando Salinas has been indicted for rape and forced sodomy, which, according to these court documents, happened back on January 11th. Now, the victim is not a relative of Salinas or his wife. Salinas was arrested last night by the Sheriff's Department after a grand jury indicted him earlier in the day. He's currently being held without bond. Salinas has worked as a real estate agent for 8 months at RE/MAX in Blacksburg, and court documents say he has lived in the New River Valley for the last 5 years. His prior criminal record includes contributing and 3 counts of larceny. Salinas was a reporter for WDBJ7 from 2012 through 2015. He was released by the station due to insubordination in April of 2015. Now, online court records say that this case is scheduled to go to trial on October 19th. As more details become available about this case, we will have them available on WDBJ7.com. Gene?
Eamon, if Salinas is convicted of these crimes, how much time could he face?
Well, according to the Virginia state codes that are cited in these documents, each count is a felony that could carry up to life in a state correctional facility or at least 5 years each.
Eamon O'Meara, thank you.
A big night ahead for Virginia Senator Tim Kaine at the Democratic National Convention today. The vice presidential nominee visited the convention center to rehearse for the biggest speech of his political career. It will also be an important moment tonight for featured speaker President Barack Obama. He'll tell voters why they should elect Hillary Clinton to succeed him. He'll also defend his legacy. Tim Kaine grew up in Kansas City, but his life in Virginia includes a strong connection to the Roanoke Valley. And while tonight's speech will be focused on politics, it will also have a strong personal element for many people in our part of the Commonwealth. WDBJ7's Joe DeShiel is live with more on Kaine's ties to Southwest Virginia.
Chris, it's no secret that Tim Kaine's wife, Ann Holton, grew up in Roanoke. She still has relatives and friends here who have followed Tim Kaine's political career and will watch tonight's speech with a personal perspective. Our viewers first met Tim Kaine in 1987, speaking to reporters outside the state penitentiary after the death row inmate he was representing was put to death in Virginia's electric chair.
The most important prayer that I have this evening is for those people in Virginia and everywhere whose hard-heartedness is an obstacle, keeping them from learning that very simple lesson that murder is wrong.
In the years since, we've followed Kaine's successful campaigns for lieutenant governor, and U.S. senator. And Kaine has made frequent visits to the Roanoke Valley, both as an elected official and as a candidate for public office. He was running for lieutenant governor in 2001 when he toured the Roanoke City market with his father-in-law, former Governor Linwood Holton.
You don't have to take my word that he's just my son-in-law and therefore vote for him. You look at his record.
The Holton connection is Kaine's closest tie to southwestern Virginia. Linwood Holton grew up in Big Stone Gap and was practicing law in Roanoke when he was elected governor in 1969.
What are the plans for the next few days? What's the first thing you're going to do when you get home?
Go to bed.
Kaine's wife, Ann Holton, was just 11 when the family moved to the executive mansion in Richmond. She would meet her future husband, Tim Kaine, years later when both were students at Harvard Law School. Kaine is scheduled to address the Democratic National Convention around 10 o'clock tonight, Chris, before President Obama closes out the third night of the convention.
Love seeing that old video. Thanks for showing us that, Joe.
Leading Republicans served up more criticism of Kaine, though, in the hours before his convention speech. Former New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani described Kaine as Hillary Clinton light in a satellite interview with WDBJ7. Giuliani says Kaine is part of a corrupt Washington insider machine. He said Kaine accepted gifts in state office that would have been illegal for a federal official.
To take somebody like that, I think, is a very, very big mistake. He's also raised taxes on just about everybody in Virginia. So he may be a nice man, he seems like he's a nice man, but he's certainly buying into the left-wing agenda of this Bernie Sanders-dominated convention.
Giuliani said he plans to watch Hillary Clinton's acceptance speech tomorrow night to see how she does, but he described the Democratic nominee as the worst Secretary of State in his lifetime and a candidate with a long history of corruption.
Tonight, a follow-up on the installation of parking meters at the community market in Lynchburg. The city installed them in May.
It did, and WDBJ7's Tanisha Watkins is live in Lynchburg tonight. Tanisha, so far, what do people think of them?
Jean, well, Lynchburg is certainly not the first city to implement paid parking. However, some of the vendors that have shops in the market right behind me say that it's definitely affecting their business.
I'm just printing your receipt. All right, thank you.
If you've visited downtown Lynchburg, you're probably familiar with the community market. One thing you may not be as familiar with, metered parking.
They've initially been here since May, but they've been up and running for maybe about a month and a half, maybe two.
Some of the businesses over on the 1200 block of Main Street approached the city and asked the city to what solutions we could provide to them to help increase turnover of vehicles parked.
That solution led to the city testing a pilot program for parking meters.
And there are 2 meters located right in the parking lot. One is up at the entrance, the other one closer to the front door. And it asks that you just follow a few simple steps. You press the start button, hit 1 for parking, type in your license plate number, then hit the print button.
So far, it's been both positive and negative. I'd have to say we've got more positive about it than we have negative. We're working through some bumps in the road. As with any new program, you're going to get some people that just don't like it.
Like Tammy Carter.
The first month, I was down probably about 50% in sales.
Carter owns Willow Breezes, a gift shop boutique at the market.
Nobody wants to come downtown and pay to park. You can go to the mall and it's free.
However, not all market vendors have taken such a big hit.
We have noticed some slight difference, but I really feel like this is going to iron itself out. We have not taken a big hit in business because of the parking.
And Malowitz says that if you have concerns over the parking meters, that you are more than welcome to attend a parking management meeting. They meet twice a month. Jean?
Okay, makes sense if people have opinions. Thank you, Tanisha. Coming up on WDBJ 7 at 6, delivery disrupted. New information tonight about what state police say caused this God's Pit Crew truck to crash.
The New Orleans Saints have arrived in town, and they are making their presence known in a big way, working on service projects here in flood-ravaged White Sulphur Springs.
A God's Pit Crew tractor trailer on the way to deliver supplies crashed on Interstate 77. Here it is. This truck was filled with supplies for a children's home in Tennessee when it ran off the highway at mile marker 12 on 77 North. This happened last night, but the traffic was backed up into the afternoon today, several miles. State police say the truck hydroplaned, ran through several hundred feet of guardrail, and went down a steep embankment before stopping in a ravine. The truck and trailer were destroyed, but the driver was not hurt. The cleanup continues in flood-ravaged West Virginia as communities transition into recovery mode. As typical this time of year, New Orleans Saints players are beginning to arrive for NFL training camp. WDBJ 7 Shane Dwyer shows us how this year players are getting a different kind of start to the season.
In White Sulphur Springs, there's no lack of work to be done. Barbara Long's house suffered damage, and the memories of last month's flood will never go away.
I couldn't believe it. I stood in the window here and I watched the water coming out of that telephone pole.
The New Orleans Saints promised training camp would go on, but while the finishing touches are happening on the field, the team workout is a little bit different than normal.
They're like a tornado in there. They're getting some good work done. It's been pretty amazing. They're working alongside with our volunteers that are here staying and working, and that teamwork between the two has been fantastic.
Saints rookies spent the afternoon at Barbara's place, ripping up the floors, the walls, and doing whatever needed to be done. Just across the creek that overflowed its banks last month, quarterback Drew Brees and other veterans fixed up the park.
So just being able to come out here and do something for this community, not only have practice here and show love, and when they come out to see us play and perform, but also giving back. And it's always something special when you leave a place better than the way you came here.
Despite her humor,
do I not look like a football fan?
Barbara admits she doesn't know a single one of these players. But with this work, they've made a new fan in town.
That'll remain with me forever. I figure I got another 100 years to go.
100 years in her new home with a little extra meaning to go with it. In White Sulphur Springs, Shane Dwyer, WDBJ 7.
I think she's going to watch some Saints games this year. What do you think? I think
we have a new fan, a lot of
so.
new Saints fans up there in White Sulphur.
Yeah.
Good to see the resilience.
I know.
And also the follow-through by that team. It was an angry sky today. Gray overhead, hail and damaging wind are still a threat, Robin says.
Tonight and tomorrow. We've got a couple of days here where the weather's going to be out of balance. It was warm again today, 92 in Roanoke, 92 in Lynchburg, 96 in Danville, and Blacksburg just missed it by a degree. The camera's going to jump in this time lapse from Martinsville just in time to capture the storm as it comes in. Watch it. Big towering cloud, bang, and it hits the city. Fortunately, it could have been much worse because there was a lot of hail associated with this storm, but we didn't see much in the way of damage reports just yet, but that could change. Meanwhile, this is the warning situation at the moment, and it's now moved well to the east of our viewing area, east of Charlotte County. And what we're seeing on the bottom side is diminishing returns. We're seeing less lightning. So these storms may have worked themselves out for this first round, but not before multiple damage reports. It started in Salem with our reporting that you saw at the top of this broadcast, where the building lost the roof, and there was so so much damage just to the west of that as well. Meanwhile, down at Smith Mountain Lake, lots of trees down in and around the lake area. This was going through Franklin County with gusty winds, and then also in the Gretna area, multiple trees down throughout the town from thunderstorms at about 4:27 when it was reported there. So that was the key element here. We had huge downpours, damaging winds, and we had lots of reports on our Doppler indicated radar of large hail. We haven't seen any pictures of that yet, but here's what's happening now. There are diminishing storms in southwest Virginia, but look down here to the south. You've got storms that are now starting to converge out of North Carolina and southern Virginia. That means the ones that were forming in the Tar Heel State are going to be stronger. They're going to last a little bit longer, but the pathway that they're taking seems to run it right along the state line. But I would just keep an eye on south side for the next hour or two to make sure one of those doesn't converge and bubble up and make it a stronger storm. Speaking of storms, we're going to go with evening storms tonight, then mostly cloudy skies after that. Temperatures in the upper 60s and the lower 70s, and man, oh man, oh man, is it going to be humid. Then for tomorrow, we're a little concerned about the way the day is setting up, but it looks like our storms might be later in the day, maybe not by 6 o'clock. Notice in the afternoon, just hit or miss stuff, but a better, more organized line still to the west by 6 o'clock in the evening. So perhaps we're looking at later night storms for tomorrow, but to be sure, the same elements are in place. Lots of lightning, a lot of humidity, therefore a lot of heavy downpours, all part of this. We're dealing with a partly sunny Thursday for starters before those storms develop. We've got 90 in Lynchburg, 93 in Danville, 93 in South Boston for daytime highs once again. And then as we look at the 7-day planner, we'll keep those temperatures more normal for a change. Keep the chances of storms there though. 86 on Sunday, 85 on Monday. It looks like we've got a little bit of sunshine on the way for Tuesday.
Phil Mickelson takes aim at the PGA Championship, which starts tomorrow. Plus, we'll check on the All-ACC preseason football teams and hear from Player of the Year Clemson quarterback Deshaun Watson. Both Virginia Tech and Virginia open preseason football practice next week, and today each school had one representative named to the ACC's preseason all-conference first team. The Hokies' Isaiah Ford was an easy pick after leading the ACC in receptions last year with 75 catches, including 11 touchdowns. The junior led the conference in receiving yards and TDs, and needs just 53 catches to take over the top spot in the Tech record books. Virginia's Quinn Blanding is also a first-team pick. Blanding continues to rack up the preseason honors. His 115 tackles were second in the league a year ago. Clemson had 10 preseason selections, led by quarterback Deshaun Watson, the preseason player of the year, a 2015 Heisman Trophy finalist. Watson hopes to lead the Tigers back to the national title game.
You know, the standard is never going to change. You know, the best is the standard. And Coach Sweeney's been preaching that for the past 8 years. You know what I mean? And so this is, you know, no surprise for us. Just really, it's simple. You know, each and every year it's a different year. We have to start over. You know, last year wins, last year touchdowns or stops isn't going to do anything for us this year. We know that we have a target on us, and we got to go 10 times harder to get where we want to go this year.
Golf's final major of the season, the PGA Championship, gets underway tomorrow, 2 weeks early thanks to the Olympics. You can catch third and fourth round action from Baltusrol on WDBJ 7 Saturday and Sunday. After playing so well and coming up short at the British Open, Phil Mickelson would like nothing better than to follow up his 2005 win on the Baltusrol layout with another major title. Lefty says he has plenty left in the tank.
I don't believe that there is a small window. I think there's a really big window of opportunity to add to my resume, to continue to compete in big events, for the simple reason that the feel and sensitivity of hitting shots, the ability to play golf courses a certain way, to visualize, to make birdies, to pull shots off, that hasn't diminished.
He's pretty confident, Gene.
He is. Hey, he looked good at the British. Thanks, Trav. A mixed end to the day on Wall Street. The Dow dropped 2, NASDAQ up 30, S&P down 3.
Recapping breaking news tonight in Salem, where storms with high winds caused some major damage. Christian Heilman is at one of the hardest hit areas. Salem frame, Christian.
Well, Chris, the first wave of storms around 2:30 caused the roof to fall and that serious structural damage. It happened at one of the industrial buildings behind me that's just out of sight. Thankfully, in all this, no one was hurt. Salem Frame, though, did release some photos earlier this afternoon showing a clear picture of the damage. The fire chief says strong winds and thunderstorms caused all this. We're also hearing of damage along West Main Street, including famous Anthony's. That's where the sign fell down and scattered across the street. A busy day for Salem. Crews getting help from Roanoke City and County.
Yeah.
Chris, now the chief says they are looking at how much damage is all across the city.
Yeah, all those residential areas too, not just those commercial spots you just showed us. Robin, that wind and rain and lightning, we've had it today. We're going to have it tomorrow.
We're going to have it a little bit later tomorrow, but it's on the way, so be weather aware for the next 24 hours.
We can do that.
We'll count on you. Thanks.